We're starting this video out in my kitchen today because we are going to be making sourdough bread. Me and my grandma are going to be making it together, but because the starter takes about 3 days to be ready to use, then I'm having to start it today, which is Friday. This recipe for sourdough and many other recipes are on the Blue Zone website. All I did is look up sourdough recipe and it popped right up, so it should be really easy to find if you want to do it as well. This is the information from the website about what sourdough does to benefit us. It harnesses the digestive power of wild yeast to break up simple sugars, eliminate much gluten, and produce a bread that will make your entire meal healthier. Studies show that true sourdough bread actually lowers the glycemic load of a meal, which is to say it slows the absorption of sugars into the blood. If you've never had sourdough bread, it doesn't taste like just a regular white bread that you would get at the store. It has a very distinct taste, but it tastes really good and it's worth a try. It definitely is probably an acquired taste, and the more you eat it, the more normal it's gonna taste. If you're making sourdough bread, you might be able to get pre-made sourdough starter, or if you just wanna make it all homemade, just to ensure that it's completely healthy, then you can follow this recipe, which is also the same recipe that's on the Blue Zone website. If you just scroll down, it gives you the recipe for how to make the starter. So baking with a sourdough starter captures beneficial lactic acid bacteria and results in a healthier, tastier bread than if you were to use pre-made yeasts. So all you're gonna need is 2 cups whole wheat flour and water, and you mix it until it forms a thick liquid. Now, I already have some sourdough starter made because I was at school this morning and we had to start it this morning if we are gonna be able to get it done in time. So let me just pop over there and show you what it looks like. This is our whole wheat flour. Here is our sourdough starter. That's what it looks like so far. And then after you mix together the flour and the water, you're gonna cover it with a cheesecloth or paper towel like what I showed you there. And you're gonna secure it and keep it on your kitchen counter away from direct sunlight. That's why ours is in the corner right there. Then after 2 days, the starter will begin to rise and air bubbles will appear. Instead of throwing out 3/4 of the starter mix, we're just gonna split it into 4 different equal parts. And then we're just gonna make 4 loaves of sourdough bread instead. So after you scoop out 3/4 of the mixture, you're gonna add 1 cup whole wheat flour and 1/2 cup of water to the remaining mixture. Mix well and let it sit for another 24 hours. So at this point you would be at 3 days. Some foam's gonna appear on the top of the sourdough starter. When it's ready, you store it in the refrigerator, and then you just feed it once a week until you use it if it's being refrigerated by adding 1 cup flour and 1/2 cup of water. So I will see you on the next day that I feed it. It's time to deal with the sourdough. So this is day 2. This is what it looks like after 2 days.
Imagine 3/4 of it.
It sounds bubbly. I don't see the bubbles though. We split it into 4 different containers. It does not smell great. And then to each container we added 1 cup of whole wheat flour and 1/2 cup of water. Eat up. So weird. Now we are mixing and we have to let it sit for another 24 hours and then it'll be ready to use. So we're gonna be making the sourdough today.
You should start out by saying, okay, the 74-year-old grandmother who has never followed a recipe in her life and the 15-year-old pickiest eater in the world are now going to try and bake sour bread.
So today is the first one about food at all, and it's 15-year-old pickiest eater and 74-year-old grandmother making sourdough bread. That's what the starter looks like. It's not fully done yet. It's about an hour away from being fully at what was supposed to be, but it looks correct right now. It's a little bit foamy, I guess. So
yeah, I think it's getting foamy.
I think that's good to use, even if it's not perfectly at the right time. And then how much starter? I don't even know how to scoop the starter. I guess with a spoon.
2 cups of starter.
Oh, this stuff does not smell good.
Okay, I just have to tell you this. This reminds me of my favorite show, Supernatural, when Sam and Dean are examining a dead body and they're doing this. Ooh, that's what I feel like. All right, I think that's 1 cup.
Oh yeah, I can smell it really bad now.
Yeah.
They did not tell me about this in the recipe.
Well, if they had told us about it, probably nobody would ever make anything using sourdough starter.
Good point. I mean, at least we know it's fermenting.
Yes, because you know what? Part of it smells a little bit like beer.
Oh.
Like some beer has a yeasty kind of smell to it. And that's, I mean, it's the yeast we smell, and it's fermenting, and beer is fermented, so it smells a little bit like beer to me.
Okay, that's 1 cup.
Okay, you keep that spoon while I eat.
yeah.
Yeah. Put some more starter.
I guess we have to mix this, right? First?
Yeah, you have to mix it up.
Okay.
Mix it all together, and then
I'll
we
just
start
mixing
acting.
it, I guess. It's just not gonna
start
wanna mix.
adding the dough.
Oh man, I have to be careful not to spill this because it's gonna want to spill those. Think it.
What? You are psychically connected to your music program?
No. Slowly getting there. I definitely see the foam now. I don't know if that's just from mixing it, but I don't think it would cause that much foam.
No, I think it's, yeah.
Do you want to see mixing it?
It smells. Really, it smells like we've dumped a can of beer in here. Of course, I haven't had beer in years, but that's what I remember it smelling like. There's like a big lump in here that doesn't want to mix.
Yeah. I'm hoping when we add the flour, it'll be okay and it's not
Yeah.
going to be 100% combined.
Yeah, I think we're probably pretty close to starting to add.
I'm going to start adding it in cup by cup. So this is what is in here?
This is semolina and whole wheat flour, and they have been mixed together, so they're ready to go. I hope it's all going to fit in my bowl. I measured the cups carefully when I used the flour, but maybe if I add and you stir.
We're basically just feeding it for the 3rd time. This is just the
I'm
ingredients
just
we used
kind
to
of
make
wondering
it.
what would happen if we used a mixer.
I don't know.
I don't either. I'm not sure we want to. We may have an explosion.
I don't
in
know.
the
We want to
house.
find out what would happen if we did that. It kind of looks like tuna fish to me for some reason.
It does. Now, it said something in there about if the flour mixture was too dry, you could add more water.
I don't know what too dry looks like.
I don't
but
either.
We might end up with that. Oh,
You may need to add that whole glass because I'm just not sure. All right, do you want to give it a shot?
Sure. Oh, that feels weird and very dry. I've got like the top bit of it and then like this underneath.
I know, which wants to separate. Plop it in here, and I'm going to work on this, and you work on that little sucker that wants to separate. Just like the gingerbread boy wants to run away. Do you want a little more water?
I might try not to add too much because
Yeah.
I don't want it to end up being too big and like the starter needs to be in the right proportion to the other ingredients.
Yeah. So we may keep these separate because that one may actually make sourdough bread and this one might make sourdough dough.
Yours is looking more like dough.
Yeah, I think that adding that last little bit of water made a difference. You're going good. You've got about 5 minutes left.
Man, the longest 20 minutes ever.
One thing now that we've gotten this far, now I understand why the one recipe said take a knife and cut across.
Yeah.
I was thinking ooey gooey slimy dough, but this stuff will definitely be able to make a cut in the top.
The whole wheat flour looks weird. I've never seen whole wheat flour before this, or like just non-whitened flour. So
Well, it's not processed as much, so you're actually probably seeing teeny weeny pieces of actual
Grain, yeah.
grain.
that's what I was looking at. Like,
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's actually very pretty. I wish I liked whole wheat bread more than I do. I just don't.
I don't know if what we have is whole wheat. We have honey wheat, so I don't know how
Yeah.
much of whole wheat that is. I know it's got honey added to it,
Yeah.
but I don't know if the base bread is really processed or if it's more whole wheat. I doubt it's full whole wheat bread.
I know it's less processed than the Italian that you like for your buttered bread. Check the Blue Zone and see if they make a white Italian bread that's healthy.
I don't think those two things go together.
I don't think so either. You know, I look at this stuff and I can actually imagine it looking like the crust of a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
I think we might have bread when we finish, Karina. All right, I think we can put it back in the bowl. I think you can put yours in the bowl.
Okay. A bit better. So, how did you first hear about the Blue Zone?
From you. Actually, I saw something on TV. I can't remember now if it was a news program or if it was an archaeology program where the narrator goes to different parts of the world, you know, and examines things like Göbekli Tepe and there's an underground city where 20,000 people could have lived, and it doesn't show. Anyway, it could have been one of his shows, or it could have been a segment on the news. And they actually went to some of the places and talked to some of the people, and you know, they were talking about how old they lived. And they gave a very surface level overview of the diet. You know, they would say things like, oh, they eat a lot of rice and you know, lentils or some, you know, whatever. But they didn't go into depth in it because, you know, it just wasn't that kind of a show. But that was the first time I heard about the Blue Zones. And then when you guys did your presentation, that's when I actually found out what it meant. It was more than just, you know, eating a lot of rice and people live longer. It was, you know, about a whole kind of lifestyle that enabled people not just to live longer, but to live longer healthier and with their faculties, which, you know, when you get to be my age, that's a big factor. So if we make sourdough bread that will help me keep my mental capacity, I'm all for it, baby.
Start living on a hill, walk up and down it every day.
That's right.
Like if people, I mean, that actually is a big thing. Like a lot of the communities where the original 5 Blue Zones were on hilly areas where they were just walking a lot.
And no cars, not a lot of, I don't think they had a lot of electronic media. I'm sure some of them did, but they probably started out without a lot of TV or, you know, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so their entire lifestyle was...
It's more community-based lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. Community-based, simpler. Okay, plop it in there. I just plopped it. Okay. So I'm just going to spread some olive oil on the top there. And now you can take some olive oil and you can spread some on that one.
Oh gosh, I'm just getting it everywhere.
You could probably squish that down a little bit with the spoon. I left it kind of rounded and high.
Probably better, but
I don't have any idea.
Me neither. We'll find out together.
This is what they call the blind leading the blind. I think what the cross does is let the heat get inside.
It might get a little bit olive oily. All right, we'll be back in...
At 5 o'clock.
So we'll be back in 2 hours, I guess. It's time to put the bread in the oven.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna lift the towels. Yeah, look at the towel, not me.
Definitely rose, I think.
I think it rose.
Does it
But
smell
it
good?
also looks kind of the same. Now that one looks like it's grown.
They look like bread almost.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's gonna look like when it's cooked. You can see the olive oil on that
I
one.
know,
It's
it
shiny.
dripped off of this one too. Oh, it dripped off of this one. Should we put some more on? What do you think?
No, I think it's probably fine.
All right, they're in the oven. We have 1 hour to go. And then we'll find out if we actually made bread. 2 3/4 cups of semolina flour and a pinch of salt and pepper. Mixed well. Ready to go. We started with the pinch. The
Yeah.
pinches.
Just to clarify, we did add the salt and pepper. It was in with the flour.
We definitely did add the salt and pepper. It's starting to look like bread.
It's fogging the camera. It's looking like bread.
It looks like bread. This is so exciting. I think we actually made bread,
We
honey.
made bread. Making a weird noise.
It's making a noise.
Now listen to it. I think it's the olive oil, maybe. Like sizzling.
Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, it tastes good.
This does not taste like the bread I had before.
The crust is very crusty, but it actually tastes pretty good.
I think this tastes better than the store-bought one. I mean, it definitely doesn't have a real strong flavor, which is very different from the one I tried before.
To me, it just tastes like bread. You know, it doesn't taste like white Italian or, you know, plain white bread. It tastes like a whole wheat bread, a healthier bread. But it doesn't have a bad taste. It doesn't taste like beer. Thank goodness.
It tastes like the bread from Texas Roadhouse.
Does it?
I'm sure it's a lot healthier than that bread, but that's what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to taste very similar to what we bought from the store. That had a weird, like, almost sour taste. This just tastes like bread.
Yeah, I was expecting something really kind of sour because of the smell of the fermentation. But it's not. It's just, it tastes like a good, dense, whole wheat kind of bread. Let me ask you a question. Did we make bread? We did it. We did it. We didn't think we'd do it, but we did it. Yeah.